everyone. I'm Hayley Clover. Welcome back to another episode of CMO Weekly, brought to you by Open Fortune. Open Fortune has changed marketing forever by putting ads into fortune cookies, distributing them through over 100,000 restaurants in 30 countries. Think about your brand showing up in a Chinese restaurant when somebody just normally eats their meal and being surprised and delighted to see your brand. And in a world where consumers see 3,000 to 5,000 ads a day, Open Fortune is helping your brand break through the noise and create a super fun engagement. So thank you to Open Fortune for making this episode happen. Okay, I'm super excited. In the hot seat today, we have Taylor Edmonds. He's the co-founder and president of Lucky Hands, a US-based casino, social casino, that's blending sweepstakes mechanics and engaging gameplay. You all launched in 2024.
Right.
Lucky Hands is offering a variety of games, including slot machines, table games, fish games, and live dealers, providing players with free entertainment and opportunities to win prizes through its sweepstakes model. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to talk to you, learn a little bit more about, your career and how you kind of got into the iGaming space in general.
Oh, it's an interesting one.
And I know you said you have a bit of a story, so let's start there. How did this all happen?
Oh man, I have to figure out where to begin. I'll try to keep it brief.
Back when I was 3.
Yeah, I'm a bit long-winded, so I'll try to keep it brief. But essentially, I went to Florida State University, and while I was there, I was in a fraternity and made
What
some
fraternity?
really...
Shout out your fraternity.
Yep, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Love
That's
it.
that's my fraternity. So achievement in every field of human endeavor. So I met some great guys there, and I guess a couple years after I graduated, I could never really find my footing in life. Like, I had been struggling to figure out what I wanted to do. I actually went to school for theater,
Oh, cool.
which is not something I even did in high school. I did music in high school, theater in college, and then I end up selling cars or working at a loan company and doing all these kind of sales jobs.
Yep.
Pretty much just acting in different businesses,
Yeah.
right? And so I couldn't really find my footing, though. I would have success, and then I'd shoot myself in the foot and mess things up. I had a bad business partner that kind of ruined things for me and my financial life.
Yeah.
So eventually, I found myself working for iHeartMedia,
Okay.
reporting traffic on the radio.
Amazing.
And yeah, that's just really random. And then I got a call from one of my fraternity brothers, and he had pretty much consulted with me on things that he'd like to do, special projects, like, hey, I'm going to propose to my wife. I want your help in making it creative and really, memorable. He calls me up and he's like, hey, I have this thing that I'm not really sure, what it's really about, if it's really profitable. And it's in this industry, right? It was more focused on fish games.
Okay.
And so he calls me up, and I'm just one of those guys. I'm down to ride. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. I got nothing else going on, so let's go. So we do this in 2020, which I know it was a bad time for a lot of people, but probably the best time for me personally, because I was able to kind of slow things down, be at home, get this opportunity, lock in on this opportunity, and go hard, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, of course.
And we had great success with that. We had a lot of success with that. It changed my life, to be honest with you. And we parlayed that success basically into building Lucky Hands. We saw some of these people like Chumba Casino, Stake, and other players, and we were like, what we're doing is pretty small time right now, but we're really good at cultivating a community. Why can't we just scale that up? So in 2023, we decide to, start Lucky Hands, the business.
Mm-hmm.
And then we built it all from scratch, right? We didn't do like a white label solution or any of that. We didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
Right? We learned everything online by going on our competitors' sites, playing the games.
Yeah.
Going on LinkedIn and being like, oh, you work with this company? That's how we didn't even know really about these conferences.
Sure.
So eventually we launched a year later in 2024, as you stated, and we've just been off to the races ever since.
And it's just been growing at an incredible rate.
Yeah, it's been growing at an incredible rate, more specifically given the amount that we spend on marketing, which is less than $10,000 a month.
So let's talk about that, because obviously our listeners hear that and go, whoa, that can't be real, or like, how is that possible? What is it about that strategy that allows you to keep it at such a low rate?
Well, it's not entirely by choice, but I think it's a
Okay.
blessing in disguise. I'll touch on that. But essentially, when we started, we had kind of a community that we had already kind of cultivated from our years in the industry in general. And so having like a community is so important, right? A lot of people just treat these customers as a customer, as a number.
Yep.
But when you have a community, right, I'm not looking at my customers as customers. I'm looking at them as like, we're family, and they view it the same way. And when you have that buy-in, I mean, they'll do whatever you want. If I started selling cookies, they'd buy all my cookies, right? And something that I learned early on is making yourself the product in a way. Like, doesn't matter what I do, these people will follow me and support me. It's a fan, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I would say having that from our prior kind of experiences definitely helped when Lucky Hands launched, because we actually didn't spend any money on marketing at first. And we were surprised that, oh, wow, we're getting a lot of volume, right?
Yeah.
We've never made less than $1 million a month, and we've consistently grown every single month that we've been in business.
That's incredible. And so that's built on, obviously, when it's being free, it's social media. Is that where most of this is happening?
Definitely. Social media, we cultivated most of our community on Facebook. We found that, like,
it's an interesting avenue. I think everyone would expect TikTok or Instagram at first, but Facebook had the better.
TikTok and Instagram are sexy, right?
Yeah.
And they're sexy, especially probably to folks like us, because that's kind of like our age goes on Instagram and TikTok, maybe slightly less, but that's maybe a little bit younger. But yeah, but Facebook, for the demographic, right, that really plays these games, it makes sense. When I think about it, I'm like, yeah. People who use Facebook, that makes a lot of sense. So that was definitely one thing, but I can't solely attribute it to that. I would say that another huge thing, because we started getting players that we didn't know. Like, we know who we know, but then we're getting players that we don't know. We're like, what? How is this possible?
Right.
And I would attribute that to the branding. I have to shout out who did all our branding, another fraternity brother of mine.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Keeping it in the family.
Oh, we definitely keep it in the family, right?
Yeah.
So he did all the branding, and I think that's another thing that kind of sets us apart. We really were, like, everything we do, we put a lot of attention, detail, and care into it, and I think that kind of comes across in the branding. Like, it doesn't look like we just threw it up there.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's just run numbers. Like,
of course, there's intention behind it, but you're in a place where, like you said, you have the loyalty of those folks. And so you've created a really cool environment where, your marketing, whether you've spent a bajillion dollars on it or no money on it, it's not just an impression anymore. It's an engagement with these folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I kind of touched on the fact that it wasn't necessarily by choice that we spent so little rather on marketing. And what I mean by that is that we kind of were in an engagement where, somebody was going to take percentage of our marketing spend.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's necessarily something that I liked a whole lot. So we were like, okay, let's maybe not spend so much until we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we kind of kept it low because I know that the easiest place to burn money in any business is in the marketing spend and the paid media and all that. So we kept it very low. And the funny part is that, yes, I'm the president and co-founder, but really we don't have I know this is CMO Weekly, we don't have a chief marketing officer. So I've kind of been just playing that role.
And it's not surprising. I think when I talk to folks that are, in the newer stages of their companies and at startups, that's kind of the first position that gets left behind.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is, let's figure out what we're doing before we, make sure we're spending on marketing. But there is something to be said, like you said, with the little marketing or the little spend on marketing that you've done, you've been able to make some big movements in a very short amount of time. And so marketing was really important. It's just figuring out the correct type of marketing.
It's 100% important. And I think maybe in this case, it's a thing where we left it behind, but I don't trust anybody to do it at a high level. Like it has to be somebody, the right person that gets the vision of what we're trying to do. And so, I've kind of just been playing that role, and we haven't been spending a lot on paid media, but then I'm thinking, okay, well, we need to get innovative then, right? So if you look at our content, and I don't know if you've gotten a chance to look at it, but
I was on, Instagram and things looking around.
Got to get some stalking in, right?
Yeah,
so
of course.
We're doing things that I don't think other people are doing, right? Like we just did a thing where we gave away a Tesla. We paid somebody's mortgage for a whole year. We gave away $10,000.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's because you have the money that you didn't spend on the other marketing.
Right? So I'm thinking I could throw this all at paid media. We could run ads on stuff, and we could hope that converts, or I could give back to the players and then make engaging content with all of that, which is exactly what we did, because we ran this promotion. Then I did a whole live stream giveaway. We had the Tesla in studio. I took live calls on the phone.
Very cool.
Gave away more prizes to the people that would call in. Spun a whole thing. Pulled those tickets. Funny enough, some of the people didn't even know they were in the sweepstakes to win any of it. And they just won.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, now what? Now I did the live stream. That's more content to repurpose and shoot out and using paid media.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? Okay, now we have our 3 winners. I'm going to go see them. So then Easter weekend, I get on a plane. I go to 3 cities, 3 winners, 3 days.
Wow.
North Carolina, Georgia, California. And I go and I interview these people, deliver them their prize in person, talk to them.
That's crazy.
I like to call it touch the people. You got to go out and touch the people sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think with the fact that we're making it, like I said, a family. We're not like somebody that you can't get to. I'm the president of the company, and I'm spending my weekend going to the podunk town in the middle of nowhere and having a conversation. You know what I mean? So
that's really cool.
I think there's just a level of you gotta care, and you gotta treat this as like it's not just numbers on a spreadsheet or like, oh, what percentage of what's the click-through rate, and no, I don't even pay attention to that, to be honest, right? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about how am I emotionally connecting with my audience.
Yeah. Do your coworkers, co-founder agree with that strategy, or is somebody somewhere looking at the numbers and doing the more traditional
we have
kind of things?
Don't get me wrong, we have people looking at the numbers, but I mean, they agree with it, right? They're the ones that kind of, decided to parade me out there. They're like, hey, we can't hire, spokespeople. You
mean you didn't want to travel to 3 different cities in 3 days?
As I say in one of the videos, I'm like, I'll continue to haze myself for your entertainment, So it's not something that I necessarily want to do, but at the same time, I do, because when I go and I see these people and they, I hear their story and they, they're breaking down, crying sometimes, and it's just like, wow, we're out here changing people's lives, right?
Yeah.
That's, to me, it's great. I want to use what we're doing, not just, to make money and entertain people, but also to, do some good things as well.
Yeah. And is there a point in which the strategy shifts a bit to a more traditional marketing approach, do you think, or you will always want to be kind of out of the box?
I don't know if I know how to be any way but out of the box. I think, to be honest, what's funny is I think that I've drawn a lot from, this is going to sound ridiculous, but wrestling. Yeah, I've drawn a lot from, and I was only a wrestling fan in like 3rd grade, but somehow I've noticed, I'm like, this is kind of similar to the WWE. Like I've created myself as a character, and like you look at some of these guys, like Dana White, even in the UFC, he's the president, but he is like a character. He's a figure, you know? And I think when you have kind of that figurehead that's now they're a character, they can go out, interact with fans, customers, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the traditional thing that most businesses do, but I think there's a lot of possibilities with it. So I think we're going to continue to just do crazy stuff.
That's awesome.
All sorts of crazy ideas that we could think of. I think we're going to keep executing.
Are there any ideas on the table right now? Anything new that, is exciting that you can kind of tell us about in terms of, I mean, with a company that's growing as fast as yours, there's got to be new stuff, I'm guessing, all the time.
I mean, I was just in a conference room here and I thought of an idea. I'm not going to share it because I don't want to give away too much secret sauce. But yeah, there's always ideas, I think that we're really trying to lean into, again, I see a lot of the competitors just doing standard, like, okay, here's the bonus and here, or here's a spokesperson and they're telling you, hey, try this, right? We're trying to do stuff that you're like, whoa, like, what the hell? They did this? Is the company, are they professional? I want you to I want to blur the lines. I want them to be like, what? How are they even allowed to do this and be a professional company? Like,
right.
I'm trying to do crazy stuff. Like, I want to go on the street, interview people, all that kind of stuff. So there's always ideas that are kicking around. To be honest, we haven't had as much time to map out, like we did that whole St. Patrick's Day giveaway with the Tesla and all that in the live stream. That took up a lot of time. We haven't really come up with something big like that that I could share, but
no, that's okay. What is it about Lucky Hands that differentiates itself from other companies within the space? Like, why should I, play your games versus others?
Well, it's funny because having gone and interviewed our customers in person, I can kind of speak to that.
Yeah.
They told me that the biggest thing that they loved about us was that we have instant redemptions.
Okay.
So that was like their biggest thing that they loved. Beyond that, we definitely get a lot of feedback about them just being a fan of us, our journey, right? They making ourselves accessible to them, knowing like, okay, we especially here's something that will put it in perspective for you. Our players named our platform. They named it, right?
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
We had our, I alluded to me and my business partner, the CEO, James. We had some fish tables game, kind of smaller deal going on, but we had built a big community. Those are the people that named our platform. And then when we transferred and made it as big as it is now, we kind of had to ask them to rename the current, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we always consult them, and then it feels like it's theirs.
Yeah. That's really cool. I just think that's so different than all of the conversations, quite honestly, that I've had this week, because it's just, I think that, to be quite transparent, I think this is the earliest stage company that I talked to at this conference, which is really cool, though, because it gives us a totally different look into strategy of starting something new. I mean, is it scary on a daily basis at all? Like any of these things as you're trying new stuff and just like hoping that it works or hoping that audience doesn't go away or doesn't, change?
I mean, it's definitely scary just being in this industry because it's the wild, wild west, and there, there's regulations changing all the time. So we have to adjust strategy. Like, oh, well, I can't target that state anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So definitely it's scary, but I think it's more exciting, to be honest. I think it's more exciting. I mean, again, I'm not somebody who has a business degree or a marketing background. I mean, I've done music. I made my own music and I've had to market that.
Sure,
so
sell yourself.
I'm just somebody who's passionate about what I do, and
I think that's the key.
Creative.
Right?
Yeah.
I think if you're passionate about what you do, others see that, feel that, and you have the drive that always, makes you continue to work every day to figure it out.
Exactly.
If that passion's not there, then it's easier to give up or to say, hey, all right, it didn't work, and that's all right.
And I think it comes across in what you're doing. Like if you're just kind of, not necessarily even being lazy, but if you're just kind of doing a cookie cutter approach on things, people will see like, okay, it's just, that's what they're trying to do.
It's the same stuff. It feels a bit stale.
And in our industry, everything, it is pretty much all the same, right? Like, and we did when we launched with like a video, and we kind of pitched ourselves as like, hey, we're the same thing, just slightly different. Look at your new phone. You look at the iPhone 13. How is it different from the iPhone 14? It's really not.
Right.
So what are those ways that we're different, though? And it's funny because we joked in the video that it's the people that, that are doing it. But I think that truly does make a big difference. So any way that we could differentiate ourselves, we're going to try to continue to do that and get creative as possible, push the boundaries. We're not really, our culture's not very buttoned up. We're very loose with it. I say some reckless stuff on camera.
No PR training here.
No, none at all. I might get canceled one day, but hey, what do they say? All publicity
So far,
is
so
good
good.
publicity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So for a lot of our listeners, are early stage marketers are trying to, grow themselves within the corporate world or
Right.
are thinking of starting a business.
Right.
What advice do you have to people that are jumping into, a new entrepreneurial type of experience?
The advice that I have is just do it, right? Don't sue me, Nike, but just do it. That's the hardest part sometimes is you'll talk yourself out of it. Well,
Yeah.
I can't do this, and that because then this and that, and it's going to be too hard, and I don't understand this. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't need to know all the answers, and you're going to make mistakes. We've made plenty so far.
Sure.
Like you said, we're an early company. We've made a lot of mistakes and some costly ones, right?
But it won't happen again.
We weren't able to spend as much as we wanted on marketing because we were locked in a deal where someone's going to take a large percentage of that.
Yeah.
Well, blessing in disguise in a way, I think, because we had a lot of other kinks to work out, some other mistakes to make,
Right.
before we drive a bunch of traffic. But now, we're in a better position. But to get back to the question, I think again, it's really just the stick-to-itiveness. Are you ambitious enough to wake up every day, put the hard hat on, go to work, make mistakes?
Yeah.
It's scary, as you said earlier, but you got to be excited about it.
Yeah. It's great. Awesome. Okay, I want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
That's good.
If you're up for it.
Right.
And yeah, let's just see what you come up with.
All right, cool.
Okay. Your favorite city in the entire world?
Manila, the Philippines.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Have you been there a bunch or what?
I've been there quite a bit. I used to go for like a month. So
Really cool. Yeah. I've heard it's beautiful.
Yes.
Never been. Person dead or alive that you'd most like to sit down to dinner with and why?
I think they would change depending on the day you ask me.
Sure.
Today I'm going to say Dana White. I'm in a UFC mood. I like his style. I'm going to go Dana White.
Okay, cool. In 30 years, what do you think people are going to be nostalgic about?
God, that's a great question. We're definitely seeing a lot of nostalgia going on right now.
I know.
Like I love Creed again, so
Hell yeah.
yeah, hell yeah, brother. In 30 years, what will they be nostalgic about? Oh my gosh. Cell phones, maybe.
Yeah,
There might be
who
a whole
knows?
different way.
It's very true. Okay, so within obviously the gaming, betting space and us being at this conference,
Yeah.
do you bet on sports or do you gamble?
Absolutely not. Never get high on your own supply, okay? Let me tell you
Because
something.
I was going to ask, what's the dumbest bet that you will never live down?
It doesn't exist because you never get high on your own supply. I'm going to admit something. Again, I told you I have no PR training. I used to sell drugs. I've never done drugs in my life, but I used to sell them because I'm a businessman. And at the end of the day, it holds true with this. I don't gamble. I don't bet on anything.
Yeah.
Now, do I tell my friends sometimes to place a bet for them?
Sure.
They keep the money.
They can
It
bet.
doesn't mean I don't have insight, but I won't engage in it. I won't go down that road. I got to be disciplined.
Okay. What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
I would say maybe that, you got to go to college, you got to get a corporate job, you got to do this and that.
Mhm.
That kind of line of
Don't
thinking.
have to take the traditional
Right.
route.
You don't have to take the traditional route. Like you can do scary things and you could still be successful.
Yeah.
I think for a while I always wanted to operate outside of that box, as you stated, but I just didn't know. I didn't have my footing. I wasn't landing in the right spots, and then I finally landed in the right spot, and it's changed my life.
It's amazing. Do you have any totally random skills or hobbies?
Yeah, we kind of talked before this.
I'm excited to finally hear the answer. I told him to save it for the
Right,
podcast.
I'm a professional swamp buggy driver.
Yeah, so what is this? It sounds
Swamp
incredible.
buggy racing, I'll have to show it to you later too. Swamp buggy racing is one of the oldest sports. It's as old as NASCAR.
Wow.
1949 in Naples, Florida, which is where I'm from. And it started out with just rednecks trying to impress each other. Like, look at my swamp buggy's faster than yours. Get through the mud and the muck. Naples was very much undeveloped back then, and it turned into a global sport. Like, my stepdad happens to be the greatest of all time. He's been on German television. He's been on ESPN, National Geographic,
gosh.
Speed Channel, all over the world. So
Crazy.
it's a very unique sport.
And so it's literally, is it a race like a NASCAR, but literally on a
Yes,
swamp?
it's
That's how we
literally
can picture it?
mud and water. There's about 3 to 6 feet of water, depending on what part of the track that you're on. And then you're just going around. They call it the mile of mud. And then even the winner jumps in with a Swamp Buggy Queen. It's a scholarship pageant.
And the gators.
No, they put
Nothing?
water on the track. They
Okay,
put water.
gotcha.
There's no gators. Now, back in the day, gators. But yeah.
So back in the day, they were really badasses.
Yo, they were real bad. Now we're still badass.
I'm just kidding.
It's dangerous too. I broke my hand. I was drowning underwater,
Oh my
upside
gosh.
down. It's dangerous, but fun.
It's by far the best random skill we've had all conference.
I
for
hope
sure.
so. I hope so.
So that's really cool. Okay, what's one thing that your past self, let's say 10 years ago, would be shocked to learn about your life today?
Probably how much money I'm making. Probably. Well, you know what's funny about that is that it was something that I always told myself, like, it's going to happen. But I didn't know how it was going to happen. And I hate to be one of those people that like, yeah, the daily affirmation. No, like, I don't know if I believe all that, but I mean, again, I have to believe it.
But the positive mindset helped. It kept you.
It's like I'm
in it.
a doubter, but a case study at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's amazing. Okay, and last question. Who are the companies that you're watching right now? Give us 3 companies that you really like what they're doing, whether it's in the iGaming space or not, that you just like love and we should be following.
That's tough because this is similar to, like, I told you I make music, and then it's like when you make music, you stop listening to music,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I don't know who's popular anymore. So similar to that, I'm so focused on what I'm doing, I don't know that I'm paying attention to
Okay.
other people as much.
That's okay.
I would say the TKO group, the UFC, WWE, definitely. I'm a big sports guy, and I like what they do. I think it's good. In terms of other people that I'm watching, like their marketing and saying that's good stuff, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, I know that there's definitely some. I've seen commercials, and I'm like, okay, I like that, but
That's okay.
I can't think of it off the top of my
No,
head.
it's fine. To sum all of this up then, in one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
How would I sum up the internet in one sentence?
Yeah. Or even one word.
I would call it controlled lawlessness.
I like that.
Yeah.
Period.
Period.
I love that. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It was amazing to learn more about you. And if people want to follow along with Lucky Hands and with Taylor,
Yes.
where can they find you?
You can find us on Instagram at Lucky Hands, or on some of our other social medias, we're at Lucky Hands CAS, right? Casino. And if you want to follow me, I'm _2 damn pretty.
Love that. And you can find them obviously on Facebook. That's a really cool community that you've created there.
Absolutely.
And so go join that. And
Go look up Lucky Hands.
Yeah.
You'll see us. There's a lot of fake pages out there, but you'll be able to tell that we're legit. We've got all the followers.
look for the Tesla giveaways.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. And thank you again to Open Fortune for making this episode possible. And we will see you all soon.